All right, we're recording. Share my screen. Okay, cool.
Oh,
Yeah, what's up, guys?
yeah.
You can see my screen?
Yeah.
All right, cool. Yeah, thanks for joining. This is just a chill Friday AMA session. We're recording this to publish a little later, and also going to transcribe it for some of our non-native English speakers. So yeah, I was thinking of for this spaces or for this AMA, we're going to go over some like quick news and just get your opinion, just to warm things up, and then we can get into like development updates. And I'm thinking of going over some of the example like client use cases that we're talking to, without mentioning them by name. I mean, we have basically like a kind of like a bottleneck of all sorts of different like B2B clients and potential clients that we're talking to, mostly through the API. And I think it'd be useful to kind of describe each of them and like our development process on how to service them. Again, without mentioning who they are, but just describing their process. Was there anything else you wanted to add to that, Vladimir, for the agenda for today?
No, I outlined it at the very beginning before you joined, so I think that's okay. So we have one more thing but we'll cover it.
Yeah, so I think we go over the API. That's probably the most important thing. Our API soft launch, teasing some of these clients that we're working with and potentially working with, and then I kind of want to go over that mega thread that we wrote about Sam Altman, because I think that kind of covers a lot of things, and I feel like the thread didn't do it justice. So we'll go through that and we'll kind of elaborate on some of the things that we mentioned. We have some corporate news as well on the legal corporation side, and we can talk marketing at the end of it. But let's go over this Rundown AI. I think it's a great Twitter account. Let me send this to you as well. But I'm going to scroll down and just kind of go over some of the news, and let me know if anything catches your eye or if you have anything you want to give an opinion on. Apparently a Chinese model is doing better than GPT-4.
Yeah, we can cover like both Chinese and Llama 3. For the Chinese, the issue is like there are two issues. One is obvious, one is a bit less obvious. Like not with just Chinese language, but like with every non-Latin language, I would say, is because like all popular LLMs are currently using byte pair encoding for like encoding the text, and that means that they encode the text based on the popularity of specific combinations of characters in the data set. And when most of the data set is English characters, the vocabulary of the model will be like primarily consisting of like combinations of English characters. And for example, if you'll take, I'm not sure about Chinese, but I can say about Russian. If you take, for example, GPT-4's tokenizer, and we have or GPT 3.5, I'm not sure. So if you take like GPT tokenizer that's available online on OpenAI's webpage, basically, if you'll say the same phrase, "Good morning, guten tag, и доброе утро," good morning takes 2 tokens for the model to process. Guten Tag is 4 tokens, and Доброе утро, which is good morning in Russian, is 12 tokens. So basically, like the same phrase takes like 6 times more tokens for the model to process, and not just to read, but also to write. And of course, it makes it slower. It means that your context size is 6 times smaller, and you have a lot of issues. And also, like some languages, like Russian and, for example, Greek, they have like the specific suffixes in their language depending on like gender, etc. And for Chinese and Japanese, of course, we have like these complex characters in their language. And like actually, OpenAI has released a Japanese version of GPT-4 not some time ago, which like solves all these issues by basically like remapping from English characters to Japanese ones.
Vladimir, can you give me a minute? Are you
Yeah,
guys
I
hearing
think
him okay? Because he's kind of cutting off. Maybe it's my screen share that's slowing things down. Are you guys hearing
maybe
him okay? Yeah.
give me a moment to reconnect.
It's like slightly choppy. Yeah, were you guys able to hear him okay, or was it chopping up as well?
What about now? Is there any difference?
No, I think it's my screen share actually. Let me take that down.
Okay. Yeah, maybe I was like digging too deep in GPT-4. We can actually like discuss all this stuff separately. Yeah, but just what I can say is that in my DMs, I sometimes see people like asking me about support for other languages in AlphaKEK, and it just really resource intensive task to support like more than just Latin languages. So for now, we don't have plans to support them. We can like support some of these languages in read-only mode when we take data sources written, for example, in Spanish. But the output will always be in English, at least for now, for the foreseeable future. Maybe like in the next iterations of models, we'll address this issue, but not for now. And yeah, for the iPhone models, that's a really interesting thing. So I haven't opened the mails. I'm not sure if it talks about like just Llama 3, but actually we have an even more interesting model called like Phi 3 by Microsoft, and that's a series of really tiny models. So the smallest of them is 3.5 billion parameters, and it could easily run on an iPhone, and that's just crazy. So if you take a look at like this, you want to say something, or
Yeah, it's kind of slow. Can you hear me okay?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. What's that
Loud
model
and
called?
clear.
The tiny model?
Phi or Phi, PHI.
Oh yeah, that's right. Yeah,
Yeah,
PHI. That's right.
yeah. Yeah, so basically it's trained on synthetic data. There is a lot of stuff going on, but generally the interesting thing is that like if the thread continues, 555 will like fit on an iPhone, and it will be compatible with like GPT 3.5, and that's like really interesting thing. If like the trend of how they're improving, so that's the third generation, and each one is better than the previous one. If the trend will continue, we'll get like these really capable models being able to run like just on your phone. And I think like in this case, we could seriously think about creating basically an AlphaKEK app when we just provide you with data infrastructure. I think I've mentioned this like a few months ago, but back then it was like a few months in AI, it's like a lot of time. And back then this was just a pure speculation. Now we are like really approaching the moment when it becomes possible to like have all this stuff on your iPhone. Of course, you still can't like fit in all the data on your phone, but at least having the model, that's really cool.
Yeah, Vladimir, when you're saying a potential AlphaKEK phone app, is that running locally, or is that like would there be web search on mobile?
I think both. So basically, all the data still will be stored like on our servers, and you will need to make requests to like fetch all on-chain data, etc., etc. But aside from that, just the model, it's already possible to have it like on device, but these models, they're just not good enough. But if the trend will continue, it will be possible for us to actually just take these models, retrain them a little bit, and then repurpose them for our use cases. That's really sick.
Okay, cool.
So,
yeah, we're gonna do a rapid fire round. Yeah, I see actually on the rundown they wrote Microsoft releases
yeah.
Is it pronounced Phi or Phi 3 powerhouse?
No idea.
Yeah, you hear Elon Musk is trying to value Tesla as an AI company. Yeah, it reminds me of when Adam Newman tried to value WeWork as a tech company, right? But I guess probably what a better valuation, is that why he wants to do that?
Yeah, I
Tesla.
think their last quarter analysis was results was kind of below expectations.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. What I think I'll do is I'm going to restart my computer. Vladimir, maybe you want to, in the meantime, talk a little bit about the API and do like a screen share on your end.
Yeah.
Just to showcase the generate keys and maybe walk through that process. And then when I come back, we can talk about some of these example client cases that we're working on. Okay, I'll be right back.
Yeah, okay. Actually, I've just asked in DM's AlphaKEK bot Tesla last quarter results, and it says results disappointing with revenue net income down year over year. Blah, 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 blah. Well, nothing. Yeah, let's see how it goes for Tesla. Like in the future. Vinny, have you rejoined already, or you haven't left yet?
I haven't left yet. I'm just responding to some messages.
Yeah. Okay. I thought. Okay. Yeah. So API, we have. Actually, you could take a sneak peek at our page and api.alphakek.ai/docs. I will leave the link right in our group chat, and there's a lot of stuff. Some of this stuff like is impossible like to use by ordinary users, but the most interesting thing is down below. So basically, let me just share my screen a little bit. Share window. Yeah, so we have a lot of different stuff. So for example, health checkpoint, just to check that server is actually working on, and it is. Yay. The most interesting thing is right here. So what do we have here? If anyone has worked with like OpenAI in the future, you could see in the past, sorry, not in the future. You could see some familiar like endpoints and names. And basically what we have here is we have our first B2B API endpoint. And the neat thing that we did with our models is that we have implemented the API that is fully OpenAI compatible. And that means if you already have some source code that is using OpenAI's models, or you have some examples online, etc., you could like rewrite this code to reconnect it to our model just in 3 lines of code. Just replace the access token, replace the base URL with api.alphakek.ai, and that's it. You've connected, and we have multiple models. Can I write from here? I think I can. Let's write user, write like low. Oh no, I haven't authenticated, and I'm not going to share my token like directly on the stream. Sorry, but I can show to you how to use it actually. So here we have like AlphaKEK website, and we have our application. And as you've seen on the recent post on Telegram and Twitter and screen share, we now have a proper user account page, and right from there you could see some more details about like your account, so how much of AI-KEK tokens you have, their value, if you have any additional bonuses from our collaborations with other third-party services such as Decentraland and their like Arweave-based AlphaKEK domains, or if you own a self-key NFT, you will see these bonuses in your account. You will see your current user tier, and developers. So I have like a really cool user tier. You'll be like, you won't see this one. You'll be in either one of those three. But the most interesting thing is that we now have API page just for developers. And if you're a developer, you could just press generate new token. It will generate a new token for you. And with this token, you could use our models in the same manner as you use like GPT 3.5 or GPT-4, with like a few really pleasant exceptions with your and these exceptions is like, first one is your model is fully unbiased and like will always reply to you, and the second one, it has the real-time access to all the data that we have, like all the financial data, on-chain data, all of our like features like a token, audit, etc., etc. And yeah, once you have the token, you just paste it right here, and I'm not sure. I can turn off the screen sharing just for a moment, so I will insert the token, so you guys won't see it. And all right, we are back online, and I have authorized, and now I can just write hello there and get some kind of response, and I have wrote something wrong. All right. I have broken something. That's what usually happens with live demos, but let's see. We have, hi there, how's it doing? Yeah, so this was okay. We have the first question from Death Inferno. How do we get the on-chain data? Using someone like Graph, parsing, subquery, or are we indexing them ourselves? That's the neat thing. So we have 3 different models. The first one that I have just demoed, called Versa, that's just an unbiased model. It has no any specific features. That's basically like the foundational model that we use to train what we serve to users in our Telegram bots in chats. We provide this foundational like model separately for some specific use cases. If, for example, you don't want the tailored crypto experience like in our bot, and you just need the unbiased model for some specific purposes, for example, for role playing or whatever, and we will cover this like when we'll be mentioning our other customers. But we also have another a bit smarter model called Access. And regarding the query of data, Oracle DB I had to drop off ESC chaps. We can just write something like tell me about AlphaKEK token holder stats. So basically, it's exactly the same experience that you will see in our Telegram. I want to see you in a mention when are we gonna pump both? Yeah, I think pretty soon, rather soon than later. But yeah, the key idea, the answer to those Infernal's question is that you don't need to use like any specific queries to get the on-chain data, and AlphaKEK will figure out like everything on its own. And that's the key idea of our B2B API, to be like basically a compounding feature of all the, to have a compounding effect of all the services that we provide. So there are currently 633 AlphaKEK holders, and top 8 holders own over 21% of supply. etc., 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 etc. And that's the key thing. So the experience for like getting insights, getting the data will be absolutely streamlined. You just write the natural language query, and whatever tools for getting the on-chain and off-chain data we have, once we have a new tool, a new feature, it will automatically be connected to this API. So it will be getting smarter and smarter and more effective over time. And of course, we will have like separate data endpoints for fetching just the data. If you are not interested like in the chat functionality directly and you want to get raw data from us for your purposes, it will be available as well a little bit later. And we also have the third model called Eclipse, and it's the slower than the previous three, but it's the smartest one. And we could try to ask, I don't know, write a Shakespeare. Hopefully, I have written it right. Play telling me about Ethereum ETF news. Let's try something like that. In the meantime, since it's like the slowest, we can discuss some other stuff. So basically, this model is designed to be used for some like really deep research, and asking it to write a play is a little bit silly. But I just don't have any ideas in like on-air streaming what to ask. So this model is now being available in Telegram chat using the previous like ask detailed command. So the old report functionality is now deprecated, and our middle model called Nexus is now serving all the ask requests in the Telegram chat. And if you use ask detailed, you will get a reply from the Eclipse model. And Eclipse is still just the medium-sized model. We will have a bigger one for the autonomous AI agents, but you'll release them a little bit later when we have more data sources and we have like a richer environment for the AI agents to operate in. So it will be like more useful and impressive for the people. And it's still thinking. Let me think if there's anything that I wanted to cover from a tech perspective. Vinny, do you have any suggestions? You're muted.
Yeah, I can jump in real quick while you're thinking about the next topic. Yeah, this is office hours. This is open format, so you guys jump in whenever you want, and if you have any questions. I think from a business perspective, this is relevant to you because this is an enterprise solution, right? So we're just talking B2B right now. And when you're understanding how this works in the back end, all that really matters is any project or any company, any product or app that's currently using AI, that's especially using an API from OpenAI or Anthropic or other major LLMs, we could be a solution. So it costs them almost nothing to test our solution. I believe there's only 2 lines of code that you need to change because it's OpenAI compatible, right? And then they can just compare, A/B test the output. The API, which we call AlphaKEK AI, is just a delivery method for our entire AI engine, right? Which includes the 3 models, which we're unveiling the names for the first time. Our data engine, which is called Fractal. All the data integrations that we're constantly compiling, which we'll talk about in a second. So that's what we're delivering. That's what's happening in the back end. Alpha API is really a way to deliver and introduce our suite of models. So I would start off with explaining, hey, we have an enterprise solution, we have an API, and there's actually more APIs coming in the future, right? It's called Alpha API. It's designed to deliver our Alpha LLM suite, which are 3, tailor-made, unbiased AI models that were designed specifically for Web3 and crypto. Each model is crafted to meet distinct needs by different projects. They have different use cases. For example, the Versa or the Tiny model is very agile. It's very responsive. It's very fast, and it's good for like quick interactions, right? So, for example, a persona-based chatbot for a meme project or a meme coin, right? Like we always bring up this example of SBF, right? He's a very specific personality type, Caroline Ellison, but you can do the same thing for other personality types. So for these persona chatbots, Vladimir, they're using Versa. Is that right?
Yep.
Gotcha. Okay. And then we have Nexus, which is the medium-sized model. It's what you're currently using actually when you use command/ask. It's deeper crypto intelligence, and it's continuously updating market data, news through the Fractal data engine. And then the biggest model is, so far there's probably gonna be bigger models, right, Vladimir? This is not like the end all be all. This is not the zenith of models, right? Eclipse, it's the most comprehensive analysis. It's ideal for in-depth market analysis, exploration, reports, right? I guess we have a fourth model, but it's not being delivered through the Alpha LLM. It's the Alpha Visuals, right, which is our digital image generation through natural language.
Hey,
Did you want to add
Vinay,
anything else? Go ahead.
Sorry to interrupt. Just have a quick question since you're discussing the models. How much of a customization do we have to do? Suppose, let's imagine, right? Beamcoin wants to use one of our models, right? Or a big, an established or a huge project like, let's say, IONet or Ether, they want to use our models. How much of a customization do we have to do? Do we have to like get all their data from them, feed them into our bots, train them, and then it takes about a couple of weeks or so, and then we can provide that model to them? Or it is whatever is available, the standard thing, all we have to do is just generate the API keys for them and we are good. So how does it work in real time? Thanks.
Yeah, I think I can answer this. So there are multiple scenarios what we can offer them in this case. So in the case of Memecoin, as Vinny just pointed out, as we did for SBF before, when you just need the memes, you can use the Versa model because it's extremely customizable in terms of like just prompting. It doesn't have any specific crypto-related data, so it's basically, this model is designed to be a blank canvas. You could choose as a baseline and then add whatever you want to do with it. So for the meme coins or for some like specific personas, that's the best option. If you want just to integrate like your specific project, then the best thing would be to just reach out to us and provide the data. And white labeling. So our docs will also cover the white labeling process of integrating this stuff. And we have like projects who successfully went through it. So folks from Arweave were the first. And the great thing is that like it doesn't require weeks. So depending on the data size, it will take only days. So basically, we take all the data we have, we integrate it into Fractal, then we discuss what are their business needs, and depending on the situation, it could be that just integrating the data could be enough for them. Maybe they need like a higher degree of customization, like custom persona on top of all this data, etc., etc. Then it's discussable. But generally, the solution that take just like 1 minute from you is to connect to our Versa model. And if you want like a bit higher degree of customization, just send all your data sources to us, and it takes a couple of days to like ingest, process, integrate, and then you have like, you still have our Versa model, but now it's updated with all the data. That's like the second degree of customization. And if you want like a full white label solution that's like completely new, it will take like more time, but still, yeah, rather weeks, just a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thanks.
that's where it's getting into. Sorry, Darth, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry, just one quick follow-up question. So how do we offer our solution? Is it like a package solution that the customer makes one-time payment and we just give a white label solution, or it's like a subscription model?
For the API, there is a subscription model because like it can be abused to any degree. For Telegram bots, of course, we have like one-time payment because like group chats are more predictable than the API, and we are still figuring out what will be the best way for the B2B pricing. But one thing that I could mention, for example, is that all the current user tiers in AlphaKEK app, they include some amounts of, can I just see it here? Or, oh, yeah. So it includes some amounts of API credits. Of course, it will have like not as much as me. It will be like rather hundreds than like millions. But the thing is, if you want just to get started, if you are like, for example, a small dev or you want to experiment or something, just even getting the base like holder tier, just only like $100 worth of AIKEK tokens, they'll already provide you some API credits that will be auto-replenishable every few minutes. So you will be able to like actually play around with the API, try to do like a couple of experiments, check it out, etc., etc. And right now, when we are like slowly rolling out the API, we have like basically a free packages for the development teams that we are working with. So basically, they have like some rather large but not huge amount of credits that they could like spend on developing, not like on the serving the project yet, just for testing, giving the feedback to us, etc., etc. And in the meantime, we are figuring out what the best pricing model would be, because of course we want to make it as affordable as possible. And it requires a lot of effort.
Yeah, so if I can maybe try to summarize, there's like a spectrum of, I guess, degrees of collaboration. I think on one end, it's just the API, right? Somebody already has a front end. They either have a bot or an app or something they're using that they just want a model to integrate with. Maybe they're already using an OpenAI API, and they would just switch to us. So I think that's probably the most hands-off, and therefore we don't need any sort of customization. Then we get into like the Telegram, Discord, meme bot solution that we discussed. Let's just say SBF bot. That would be considered a white label solution. So I wouldn't consider that an alpha API client. That's a white label solution where we're actually creating, a bot for them that's branded. And then the onboarding process simply is defining their persona. So, we would consult with them, figure out what's the personality, the persona, how it behaves, and then create a custom knowledge base. And usually they would provide us that information. For SBF, it was pretty short. It was like all of the FTX, SBF articles, maybe some transcripts of his interviews, and then defining, his persona. That price structure is pretty close to, we're still playing with the pricing, but it's pretty close to PAL, because this is going into the PAL territory. That's their bread and butter. I don't consider that like our target market, but we do get inquiries, and especially if it's a big project, we'll go for it. Obviously, if it's like Dog with Coin or something, right? We'll do it. So, that has some friction. There's an onboarding process. PAL charges about half an ETH, I believe, for a white label bot, and then 1 ETH for like a very customized bot with, I think, a lot of customized behavior. So, we've charged that in the past. I think that's pretty fair, and it's a one-time fee. Again, I don't think it's like the best business because it's not that scalable. And this is why we're actually going upstream with the API, right? So this is something that PAL doesn't do. And actually, we don't, in that sense, consider PAL a competitor. We love to work with them because they can integrate with our model, to drive, their output. And then, as you go down the spectrum, then there is like a lot more customized bots. So maybe this is a good time to bring up like the biggest client / partner. It's not finalized because we've had the green light to develop, which is actually a lot of work, develop their custom data integration. We've got the green light, so we're starting, and we still have to deliver the actual product and get their feedback. But so this is why we don't want to announce anything just yet, but it's a big ecosystem. I think everybody here knows who they are. Very hyped right now. But right now we're going through a custom data integration, which is actually a lot of work. And if I could pull up like the data that we've so far gathered, I mean, Valerie, how many documents would you guess are in our Fractal about this particular project so far?
I think it's thousands now.
Yeah, yes. And that's just automatically being fed into Fractal, just being scraped online, right? So like there's mainstream media sources, there's like Reddit forums, there's Medium articles, there's random 4chan threads, YouTube videos. We have a new internal search function, and we just ran a search, and it basically wasn't able to like provide us all the data because there was so much. So the answer to your question is like, for this particular type of client who is, they need a lot more hand holding, but it's worth it. The onboarding is actually quite long because we have to think about, what kind of experience do their users want? They want a Discord bot, right? And they want to use this Discord bot for community engagement, for onboarding new users into the ecosystem, for onboarding developers. And they want very comprehensive information, but also very accurate. They want this bot to be like their central knowledge base for everything. So it's a combination of things that Fractal has already acquired automatically and is continuing to, as well as information that we found subjectively and said, hey, this is actually information that we want to make sure that is included in there. YouTube videos by their founder, right? The GitHub created by their founder. Their founder has a blog, right? So we're manually scraping all this stuff. And we've also found like their team members' Twitter accounts who actually discuss a lot of this ecosystem's information. All sorts of online guides, influencers that talk about this ecosystem. So there's a manual process in doing that. And then, we're in the middle of doing that. And then finally, we got to test it. So to answer your question, that's probably like going towards like the other end of the spectrum, which is like very, very manual. And then I would put Arweave somewhere in there, Vladimir. Like, where would you think Arweave falls in that spectrum between API and fully customized, data integration, and they want a front end as well?
Yeah, it's somewhere in the middle, but I just wanted to leave a note. So when Vinny says manual, he means that we need to like identify all the sources and basically like create a list of them and feed the list to Fractal. We don't like cherry pick each tweet manually. It's not that manual. In case of Arweave, it went like really smooth because they had the data API like already available, and we just connected like to their two endpoints to fetch everything we needed, and that was it. So it was really straightforward in their case. And if you have like a really complex project and you have your information scattered everywhere, of course, like the usual web search helps us to like get like the first 50, 60, 70% of the data, but to get like the rest bits of information that are usually like the most important, yeah, you need to do a little bit like of custom scraping.
Yeah, and we found that for this particular ecosystem, when we started, there wasn't really much data out there, even on like mainstream sources. But over the last few months, more things have come out, like a public API, right, Vladimir? And I guess the community
Yeah.
has developed more data sources for us, so it's getting easier.
Yeah, because like at some point of time in the future, sorry, Darth, did you want to say something or okay?
Oh,
So at some
sorry, I
point,
just unmuted, but yeah, sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
yeah. So at some point of time, of course, we'll have to run like full nodes for every major blockchain we are working with. But yeah, for now, we still need to rely on like external data providers for a lot of stuff. So we have like basically we use a really lot of different data providers to combine all the scattered information that we have in one big picture. And from now on, it's like simpler than having it all from scratch. But a little bit later, we'll start like implementing our custom like on-premises indexers for all of the popular chains, like in order of their popularity. So yeah, we'll probably start with Ethereum. Then we will have to choose between Base and Solana. It will be a difficult one. Yeah, we'll see. But eventually we will cover all of them.
And Vladimir, maybe you want to mention the fact that. Oh, Darth, you want to say something?
Yeah, sorry, just one relevant question. Since Vladimir mentioned the nodes, from the hardware side, are we maintaining all the hardware ourselves? And if so, how do we actually scale? Are we like planning to leverage a centralized cloud provider, decentralized, or is it when we
Yeah.
come to it?
Yeah, just from the software perspective, I make sure that we are not vendor locked and like everything is running on two Kubernetes clusters. Basically, one is running like locally here on my home server, and another one is running in the cloud. But like, it doesn't have to be that way, and the code is designed that way that we can like deploy any of those two clusters like elsewhere at any given moment. Because like if you talk about like AWS and Google Cloud, they have their own very specific tools to like for example in terms of Google Cloud you have autopilot feature. In terms of AWS, I don't remember what they have, lambdas, etc., etc. So basically they have a lot of tools that like make your work as a developer a bit easier, like short term, but long term, it will be really hard to migrate somewhere else. And right now, we basically are split like 50-50 between local compute and cloud compute. But the code is designed this way so that the moment we have our own hardware, we will be able to like migrate all the workloads just in a matter of hours. In the long term, I'm as a person who like worked like in AI industry for a while, I'm still really skeptical of like decentralized hardware being able to provide like sufficient level of like quality, security, availability for production workloads. And I mean like the actual chats, B2B services, etc., etc. So I think like for the foreseeable future, at least, it will work like this way. So all the user-facing services, such as like chats or like visualizing tools, etc., they will be running like somewhere in the cloud, or probably in multi-cloud hybrid cloud solution. So like right now, everything is hosted in Europe, but eventually, as we like get bigger and bigger, we'll have to spread the service between like Americas, between Europe and Asia, so like everyone has an acceptable latency. But these will cover on like the user-facing services. The AlphaKEK Fractal itself everything that's related to ingesting data, like computing data, fetching new data, analyzing data, building knowledge graph, etc., etc. All this stuff will be running locally. First of all, because it's cheaper, and it's very important for us that because we have only 4% tax and we burn 33% of it, so we need to keep all the thing as efficient as possible. And because it gives us more control, and we can implement some really specific hardware optimization just for our use cases. So for example, eventually I think we will have a single, so right now we have hardware nodes as blockchain nodes that are running blockchain verified transactions, having the archive, etc., etc. And we have an AI servers that run AI workloads. And I think eventually we will start developing our just in-house hardware solutions just to be able to run both. So it runs both AI workloads, and it also runs multiple blockchain nodes in read-only mode. And the idea is you have insanely quick interconnect between them, because if you are talking about running AI agents, etc., at some point of time we will reach the point we will need such high throughput and such low latency of analyzing blockchain data reading blockchain transactions to get all the correlations, connections, patterns between them, that using the cloud or the PIN will be impossible just due to speed of light. So if your two servers are not in the same room, the signal won't be moving quickly enough for you to run all the workloads needed before the next block has appeared. So yeah, kind of like that. So the TLDR is that right now we have the hardware split 50-50 between cloud and local hosting, and it will stay as is for the foreseeable future. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. Thank you. Just I have one last question, if it is okay. I think I'm hogging the entire call myself. Just one last question. This image generation will also part of the API. I'm sorry, you mentioned something about the image generation, but maybe I missed it.
Yeah. It will be available. And also the search function that Vinny has mentioned. Actually, it's if you are spilling some secrets here in the voice chat, actually the search command is already available in Telegram. You could just do /search and then type something, and you will get the latest news about the topic that you're searching for. And this also will be available using our API, B2B API, and we'll also have some more upcoming features and ideas that will be available later. But the idea is to start from something simple. So we'll start just from chat, make sure that everything is working as expected, that our first developers working with us, they are happy, they are building new stuff using our API. And when we make sure that there's nothing that bothers us or them, and we can move forward with releasing new APIs, that's what we'll do.
Okay. Thank you, guys. Thanks so much.
Thank you.
Vladimir, maybe it's a good time to address, we had a discussion in our admin chat about, whether we should put more focus on B2B versus our consumer sort of products. And, on the consumer side, memes are becoming, hot. Even Bloomberg's reporting VCs are now pouring money into memes, buying dog with coin, pet bait, things like that. So there was a bit of a debate between should we focus more attention on B2B or memes? And you had an answer about well, the answer is both, but there's a reason for doing that, which has to do with how Amazon developed, their features originally. Can you kind of explain our approach to development and why it's kind of slowing things down, but long term it'll pay dividends?
Yeah, I've personally heard this story from an Amazon Cloud employee during the internal training there. So I've been through 2 training for basic architecture and advanced architecture on AWS, Amazon Web Services. That's the name for Amazon's cloud, if you didn't know. And yeah, that's the really interesting story. So so of course we know that Amazon is a really successful like global marketplace, but they also run a highly profitable cloud business, and they're like, I think, still the biggest cloud provider like in the world. So like Google is second biggest, but there's still like a difference between them. And the interesting idea is the interesting thing is how it all started. So like in the early 2000s, when like Amazon was still the website for selling books, but like already a really popular like website for selling books, the software engineers on Amazon figured out that the existing solutions for like storing the images of photos of books like and showing them on their website, they're not efficient enough. They have like so many books, they have like millions of books, and each book has at least a multiple photos. So basically like the cover from one side, the back cover, maybe a couple of photos of like the first pages. Like if you have millions of books, that means like you have hundreds of millions of images, and you have clients like from around the world, from Europe, from Asia, from Americas, and you need to like send all this like images to all these users like everywhere. It's like a lot of traffic, a lot of like load on hard drives, a lot of like server load, etc., etc. And they have started working on their own solution for like handling all this data in a like simple and efficient way, and they call it like simple storage service or simply S3. And the cool thing, I'm not sure about the timing, whether they have developed it and then decided to publish it, or they wanted to publish it from the very beginning. But basically, at some point of time, Jeff Bezos has introduced a rule. So when the developer team inside Amazon develops some service to be used like inside their own products, they also make sure that this service is available as a product itself. So what it means for Amazon, you have the marketplace for books, and like when you open some product page, you see the images of these products, and it powered by S3. And also, if you open like Amazon Web Service page, you could just use S3 directly as a service for your own cases, for storing any files that you have. And right now, like they released it in 2003 or maybe I don't remember. So it's like in early 2000s. That was their first cloud service that they have provided, and they right now S3, like 20 years later, it's still the most popular way of storing files in the cloud, and like it's extremely profitable for Amazon. That's an industry standard. Everyone else is following their APIs when they're developing their own storage services, etc., etc. And that's now it's like eventually how Amazon, AWS specifically, has become the most popular cloud in the world. They had this and still have this internal rule. When you develop something for like internal apps, also make sure that this functionality is available as a like paid service outside for other developers. And that's the same paradigm that we use. So yeah, Vinny elaborated a lot about like how we are following like taking good ideas from OpenAI in terms of that we have our infrastructure, we have our API and we sell it, and we also have a consumer app, our Telegram and web chats that we use as a way to expand, to make people know about us, to use their stuff, etc., etc. But we want to like get the key profits from the API. That's another cool idea that we are using this time from AWS, is to when we develop some internal tools, we also make sure that they'll be available outside. So it works both ways. So when we add some new feature to like our Telegram bot, we have like more advanced token audit, when we have alerts, etc., etc. It's also becomes available like as a B2B API. and it makes our B2B API basically more variable over time. And why it like a bit slows down the development of these new features, it also like adds the compound effect of these features, because basically what you develop it once, but you sell it twice, and long term it will be
Yeah. Yeah, an example of that is the token audit command, right, Vladimir? So we have the token audit command for the bots, for the consumer app. And then when we talked about the client earlier that we're doing a custom data integration for, as new data started popping up in their ecosystem, as people start developing new public APIs, we realized, oh, actually, we can actually integrate that token data into our token audit function, which is now a B2B service. So yeah, enterprise could also take advantage of the token audit functionality. Another example is, you guys all know that we're developing an alert system for like really any sort of alpha alert system that anybody wants. But right now we have to develop the toolkit first, the underlying kind of ingredients. But in the future there'll be like a future token alert. There'll be a meme alert, a meme narrative analysis or something, right? So those things will also be developed for B2B, right, Vladimir?
Yeah, absolutely. So we still need to figure out like the best way to package them in terms of like the API, but I guess it will be available in both ways. So you will have them available using like alpha LLMs. If you use like Nexus is connected to all of our tools, and eventually it will be available like directly if you don't need like chatbot and you want to like fetch data. You will be able to do this, right?
So there's actually going to be multiple APIs, right, Vladimir? Can you kind of break that down? There's the API for the models, which is the Alpha API.
Yeah.
And then there's a data API.
Yeah, so we have like custom model infrastructure and custom data infrastructure, and we will be providing like both, but like just the models, just the data, or both is in a single package. Yeah. So we cover all the use cases. It's hard to predict, I think, what will be the most popular. So I think it makes sense to provide like all the options.
Would you consider the data API, and we don't have a name for this yet, but would you consider the data API as part of the Alpha API or as a separate product, therefore separate naming?
Yeah, I think it's a part of like Alpha API, maybe like API for Alpha Toolkit, something like that. Because it's still like not the raw data. There will be like question answering or search or some talking audit data, but it won't be like the raw data as you can get from like other Web3 providers. It will be like really pre-processed. It will be like in really condensed high-level way.
Yeah, I mean, we're actually working on a third API, but I think it's a bit too early to even talk about that. But it's, this came up when we realized some projects needed additional data that is AI related. So maybe we'll discuss that maybe in a few weeks. I see that some people asked some questions in the chat, and I guess we missed them. That's from Darth as well. How do we get on-chain data using something like Graph Parsec, Subquery,
I have covered this. Yeah.
Oh, okay, you covered it. Okay.
Yeah, I have replied every question except for if it's cached or is it real time. Also from Darth, and it's real time.
Gotcha. Okay. Great. Well, what else did I wanted to cover today? API. Maybe it's a good time to go over that Sam Altman thread that we wrote. There's some nuggets in there. You want to go over that real quick? Let's pull that up.
Yeah, I think
maybe you want to share on your screen.
Can you do yours?
Okay,
I can.
Yeah, I just felt like this thread was long enough that I needed elaboration, because it's kind of key about our roadmap. Yeah, this one right here. Yeah.
I don't see the screen.
You want to see the screen?
No, I don't. I can share it.
Can you guys? Yeah, maybe you can share it. That's better.
Here it is. Can you see it?
No.
Okay, that's really
Might be a
weird.
bug. Might be a Telegram bug.
So I didn't see yours. That's really interesting.
Yeah.
Guys in the chat, can you let us know? Can you see the screen share? Anyone? Andrea?
Yeah.
Yeah. Like
We can just
anyway.
read it. We can just read it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. They can see it. They can see it. So.
They can see it.
Yeah. So yeah, who will start? You or me?
Yeah, I'll set this up, I guess. Do you think Sam Altman was warning? Do you think that he was saying that he wants to compete with GPT wrappers? Like, for example, like maybe like a few months ago, there were all these like chat with docs, chat with PDF kind of platforms, and now they're gone, right? Because ChatGPT introduced GPTs, right? So you're able to like upload your own PDFs and text files and things like that.
Yeah.
You could chat with your knowledge base. So when he's saying we're going to steamroll you, do you think he means that he wants to replicate popular things in the marketplace, or he's just saying, hey, look, if you're going to use our APIs, make sure you innovate a little bit more because GPT-5 is coming? What kind of warning is that, do you think?
Yeah, I think, of course, GPT-5 is not about like replicating the customers. It's something bigger. So we had like previously we had some leaks about GPT-5 suggesting that it has like some enormous planning capabilities. Basically, it can like when given a task, it could like provide like sophisticated plan reasoning how to achieve the goal, and then like actually achieve the goal. But these are just rumors, so we don't know for sure. And we can speculate a little bit. So what would it mean for users is that, sorry, not for users, but for developers of such wrappers, is that like the default GPT-5 will be able to provide like a much better user experience that any of their current wrappers can already do, and this would make like all these wrappers obsolete. So basically, like they will. So like compared to GPT-4, they provide some extra value. If you will like try to connect them in the same manner to GPT-5, it will be providing like zero or even negative extra value. I will put it like this.
Yeah, Vladimir, maybe okay. The theme of this AMA is like future proofing our AI.
Yeah.
And that theme of that thread was about how we're agile and how we're able to keep up with new innovations. For example, the release of GPT-5. So maybe a better question is like, what happens when GPT-5 is out? What happens when new models come out? What do we do internally to keep up pace? We're model agnostic. What does that mean?
Hey, Vinny and Vlad, if I could just maybe speak to that question, if you're open to it.
Of course.
When Sam Altman said that we're going to steamroll you to sort of these chat GPT wrappers, I do think that was sort of a warning to say, look, you're building on our platform, but ultimately what it does is it takes away subscribers from ChatGPT. So ChatGPT charges that $20 a month premium to have access to ChatGPT 4. And wrappers built on that essentially are only paying for the API, and then they have their whole user base going through their custom integration, not paying for a subscription to ChatGPT. Just in my experience from people is they're using these wrappers. They're not using ChatGPT. Some of them didn't even know that ChatGPT had an iPhone app. So they're using the wrapper. My nephews even, they're 18. They're like, oh, we didn't know there was a ChatGPT. We just use this wrapper. I'm like, well, you're getting a subpar quality application then if you just go through the main one. So I think that was a warning to those types. And paralleling that with what AlphaKEK is doing is it's also a warning to these, other ChatGPT wrappers that want to build LLMs and offer an AI suite that is basically just ChatGPT at the end of the day. And AlphaKEK building their own, that's why I see such a great opportunity in AlphaKEK is you guys are building it from the ground up. You can create your own subscription model. You can create your own, however you would pay it, whether you're logged in as a user versus Telegram versus API. I think that's great. You don't have to worry about Sam Altman's sort of warning. And I don't think that it was Sam Altman saying, look, we're going to steamroll all other applications out there because, they're sort of, they're bound by their own limitations and their own sort of corporation structure to build what they're building. I've always seen an opportunity for AlphaKEK to exist as another option for LLM, and in existing in this niche of crypto is just tremendous. So I guess I'll turn it back to you. That's just my opinion on what he meant by that. But that is a good idea. Is how do we sort of future proof what AlphaKEK is doing going forward, knowing that the bigger corporations are sort of cracking down on wrappers and access to their programs.
Yeah. I totally agree. Like on the second part regarding AlphaKEK and like building in a unique niche of crypto, and that's basically the thing that Vinny wanted to mention with all the custom data infrastructure. But before we proceed to that, I need to inform you that unfortunately there is one critical fault in your reasoning, and the thing is, OpenAI's API is more expensive than ChatGPT subscription. That's the thing. So actually, having people using their API is more profitable to them, and that's the thing that we mentioned in the very beginning, and that we have written a post about sometime before. So the idea in our case is the
I don't want to interrupt you. I'd say, I agree. Just the point that I was trying to make is that so they're paying for the API, but if they have 20,000 users that are using their API, they're not paying for a ChatGPT at $20, right?
Yeah, but ChatGPT API per request is more per user is more expensive. So, for example, if
so they pay per request.
Yeah, they pay.
Okay, maybe I just don't. Maybe I'm sort of ignorant to how it all works. I would think that the data stream might somehow be cheaper than ChatGPT, basically just getting users.
It depends on specific use case. So, for example, if you have users who paid $20 per subscription and they use the API, for example, once a week, of course it will be cheaper than paying per request. But generally, from my experience, ChatGPT subscription is more expensive than providing the API. That's the new part, and that's a common thing not just for OpenAI and AI companies, but for any kind of software as a service platforms in general. So they basically add extra markup to the API. Of course, at the same time, they also have discounts for huge orders and pre-allocated capacity, etc. And of course, if you are a really huge client, you can negotiate with OpenAI to get some special pricing, etc. But generally, I'm pretty sure that API scenario is more expensive, and more profitable to them than ChatGPT. And that's the idea. But at least for now, maybe they are preparing something. So, for example, maybe they're preparing something with ChatGPT which like covers all those scenarios, but
Yeah.
unlikely. And yeah, I agree, like fully agree with the second part, is that there's like a niche and that of crypto market data, and that's the part where we will be where we are feeling ourselves very comfortable, because like it's constantly growing and evolving, and it just takes a lot of work to get all this data together. And speaking of model agnostic, let's cycle back to what Vinny said before we started this mini discussion inside the discussion. So if you're like a really active user of our like Telegram bot, probably you can feel that it like changes quite often. So I think since the release, we have updated the underlying model about 30 times, maybe even more. So we are constantly updating, fine-tuning, like evolving, using new foundational models as a baseline, etc., etc. And we are not going to stop. And of course, there will be a new version of Versa model, a new version of Nexus, a new version of Eclipse, as the whole field of AI goes forward. And that's the first thing. So we have designed our software to be like, as I've previously said, it's cloud agnostic. So we have like 2 Kubernetes clusters, and we can like deploy them anywhere we want. And in the same regard, we are like designing the code to be also like model agnostic. That means that when you use state-of-the-art like large language model comes out, we can simply fine-tune it on our like crypto data set and just deploy it and start using it. And that's what we do like every few weeks actually. And the most important thing is custom data. So right now we already have like, just from the Web2, we have 40, almost 48,000 like data points, and we collect like them like 24/7, non-stop. Like it's so approaching like, so soon it will approach like basically 1,000 data points per day. And of course we have all the history like from blockchain transactions, etc., etc., etc. And we have social media, which we like don't save explicitly yet. That's where our key bet is, to basically first of all collecting very specific, very niche data for just for crypto, and at the same time building mechanism like engines or Fractal to make it work, to make all of those modalities of crypto-related data to work together. And we are like saving all this data also, like not just to provide like sentiment charts as on this example, but also like for retrospective updates of our like new models and features when they come out. So our bet is not just on like chatbots like and large language models, but also on collecting all this data and building new kinds of models like and for token alerts, for like backtesting them on Web2 data, for detecting like smart money and insider wallets by comparing like Web2 data with Web3 transactions, etc., etc., etc. So yeah, Vinny, maybe you can like summarize this.
Yeah, RC. So I do agree that I think when Sam Altman says steamroll, it is a warning to companies, projects to innovate, differentiate, niche down, or like go up the value chain. Otherwise, they're probably going to replace a lot of those services. Like, we mentioned, chat to docs to chat. That's something easily replaceable. But if you're operating a space that's like, as niche as we are, which we're in a comfortable niche, in my opinion, it's a truly specialist field, especially when it gets like on-chain data. Like, is ChatGPT going to release like an alpha alert bot? Probably not, right? Or even things like, I'm building a house here where I live, and we're using this AI app where you like take a picture of like your empty room that's like being constructed, or it's just, you're gonna design it for the first time, and it basically dresses up your room with all this furniture, and you can change the different themes, whether it's like mid-century or some other style. It's like stuff like that. OpenAI, are they going to really get into that niche? Probably not. So that's probably safe. So yeah, we feel pretty comfortable about our niche. Like some people are using in our Telegram chat, like with the image bot, like asking for Pokimane juicy booty photos. Is OpenAI going to get into that field? Probably not. So yeah.
But to be fair, the person didn't like the face, so by the judgment of this user, it wasn't Pokimane enough. I don't know who Pokimane is, but the booty was juicy.
Pokimane.
That's true.
Yeah, she's like a Twitch influencer. Is Sam Altman going to steamroll into the juicy booty AI image market anytime soon? I don't know. It's a very we cornered that market already. I don't think there's any fruit.
Also, just on a serious note, just from the data science, data analysis perspective, all those chat with PDF solutions are a little bit silly due to one simple reason. In like all data science project that I had like in my life, data preparation was the hardest path. It's always the hardest path. And saying that, like, okay, give me PDF and you will be able, and like our AI will make you able to chat with it. It's a little bit silly because it says like, okay, do like the 80% of hardest work, compiling all the like knowledge pieces together and provide it to me, and I will be able to like work with it. And actually we had this discussion, and some people were asking me like in the previous MAs, but I want to repeat this once again, that data pipelines is the hardest part, not the AI stuff. So of course AI stuff is challenging in terms of like optimizing, being like the fastest, the most sustainable, etc., etc. But if you're talking about like the user experience and like the end value that we provide with our services and our apps, data is the most valuable part.
All right, guys, so we're running up against 1 hour, 20 minutes. I want to give you a quick update on marketing, and then maybe we can go into like legal corporate at the end and maybe sign off. So marketing, and we've been basically like knee deep in clients and potential clients this week and getting this API launched, because that was a huge bottleneck. People are waiting for it. So not so much marketing this week. We did onboard our first KOLs, smaller KOLs, and then we'll ramp up from there. We're starting to do like CoinMarketCap trending campaigns, CoinGecko as well. So if you notice, there are some new members coming into the Telegram chat that heard about us through CMC. CMC still hasn't updated circulating supply yet, so we're following up on that. We do have kind of like an insider there, so we're nudging as hard as we can. But that's really good organic exposure, especially on the AI category. There's actually multiple AI categories on both CG and CMC, so we're applying to get on the additional ones. I think what are the ones that we're missing? It's generative AI. There's AI agents also is one that we can get into, we can apply for. I would guess in a few weeks or so. We'll have like more AMAs planned next week. We are releasing a white paper pretty soon, a pretty professional one with like really good visuals. I think people will be pretty impressed. Doc site is coming out. We've been working really hard on that, and I think that's going to be a pretty important sales piece for both us and you guys. You will be able to share that, and it'll be very clear like what we offer. And we tease this also on our Twitter, but it's using OpenAI's Docs site as like a reference point. So it'll feel very familiar in the way it's structured, in the way that it breaks down the different models. The API reference guide will be very similar as well. So I think it'll be maybe one of the more professional doc sites, I think, in all of AI Web3, maybe the best one in my opinion. I don't want to get ahead of myself here. Yeah, anything you want to add to that, Vladimir, on marketing before we go into corporate and legal?
Yeah, I can add just like not exactly on marketing, but on the tech perspective. So yeah, so basically like lately we had a little bit of kind of so we have the emphasis on B2B, yeah, on implementing all the stuff, not just docs, but yeah, also API. And API is now finished. It's just the only matter left is to like properly document it and hand the documentation over yet to our first devs, external devs who are built on top of Alpha API. And once it's done, we'll like pivot again to really pushing like new B2C features, basically for crypto trading and like for finding alpha new tokens, etc. So yeah, expect new updates on this topic really soon.
Yeah, it feels like everything is a priority, but if I were to try to rank them, I would say API, which has to come with docs and white paper, and then KOLs, which we're onboarding, rebrand, which we're doing with a new website, which is, again, is very important for trust. We're not rebranding our name, but we are rebranding our logo and the messaging and website layout, completely new. And yeah, we're in the middle of going through a brief with actually 2 award-winning designers, 2 different studios, same country, they know each other. They've done fintech work with some pretty well-known institutions. You know, Visa is one of them, but they've also done Web3 stuff. So, you know, they worked in the NFT space, yeah, fintech, crypto, custodial accounts. So that's another priority. And then the third priority would be the consumer side, which is the alert bots. So we'd like to get our first token alert signal bot out as soon as possible. We're looking to basically reverse engineer some of the more popular ones that you see. I mean, they're all kind of the same, right? They're integrating the same data sources, and it's when you're creating an alert bot, it's sort of like just taking, you're going through a checklist, right? It's like a due diligence checklist. It's really what that is. It's formulaic. It's a due diligence checklist, and then people are able to see, okay, you've done this automated due diligence for me. Let me do my own methodology on top of this. Let me reference other tools that I know of that I like. So we're trying to take it to as far down that finish line as possible, and then maybe do some of that more subjective work for them, right, through our AI, and introduce other modalities like news, bullishness scores, sentiment analysis, the things that we're good at. So it's like these alert bots have taken people's buying process, like maybe 80% there. If we could just add another extra 5% or 10% that no one else is able to add, I consider that a huge win. So yeah, I would say the priorities is API for the B2B side, consumer, and then on the marketing side, it's the rebrand and bring on our first KOLs. So yeah, on the corporate side, yeah, Vladimir, maybe you want to kind of give the news out.
I'm now officially a CEO, guys.
Yeah, so we've incorporated officially an LLC, and yeah, this is part of a legal, restructuring because we want to expand, right? We want to hire people. We want to apply to, different programs, grants out there. I can't name any names just yet, but this programs out there. We'll get development support, but it's also clout. Yeah.
Yeah, B2B means business to business, and like that means that both sides should be a business, not just them, but also us. And yeah, now it's done. And we can do it like fully officially, working with large projects, and we will hear from that.
And obviously we want to invoice people. Yeah, we want to invoice clients, take subscription, take credit card payments, open bank accounts, pay salaries, set up official partnerships with, agreements and create letters of intent, all that stuff. So Yeah, that's basically being done, and we'll probably set up more entities. So far, it's in St. Vincent. We'll set up probably an entity in the U.S. Yeah, we're still deciding, what other countries to expand into. Yep. I mean, it really depends on it's on a per need basis, like where clients need to pay into, which entities they prefer, but also when we're applying to these different B2B, programs, they might need a specific entity, like a U.S. corporation. So it's really based on that.
Yeah, most likely US will be needed mostly for venture capital, and I'm not sure if we will not accept just some venture capitalists. I think only people who really share our vision, if such people exist. And aside from that, yeah, I think the current LLC will be enough for now.
Yeah. Yeah, and the reason why we wanted to do this over video with the screen share is just to show you tangibly what's happening behind the scenes. Yeah, when you look at the API generate key, it's not really telling you much, but if you go into the actual infrastructure and what's it's delivering, then it's a little bit clearer. And I think that will put people at ease. This is not like LARP, right? This is a very serious long-term, company business that we want to keep for life. I mean, this is a passion business for me.
Yeah.
And I'm sure this is Vladimir's life work, right? So I think that will give people reassurance, as they're looking day to day. Hopefully now you can look at more of a weekly and monthly timeline. Not to say that, hype isn't important. There is a way you market in Web3, and we're definitely going to pursue those strategies. But at least on the back end, you have, comfort that, there's actual infrastructure that we're building out.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, we'll open up the floor to last few questions, and then we can save for next week. Yeah. Any last questions, guys?
I got one.
Yeah, for sure. Go for it.
So I've found a lot of success in adding the bot to these other groups in Telegram. And one of the hurdles is that obviously people who aren't logged in can't interact with the bot. So I think it's great. It gives them that, hey, you got to buy AlphaKEK at $100 to at least access it. Some people get a little upset because they say that's shilling, but is there any way that you can maybe incorporate 5 free interactions or something like that, or open it up to maybe just random users? Is that a functionality you can sort of implement? Whatever.
Yeah. Yeah, we discussed this on the previous AMA, I believe, on Twitter. And the plan is to introduce a free trial. So basically, you will be able to interact for a few days, I think, even for free, and only after that to decide whether you want to continue your journey with us.
How is that tracked? If I put it in a TG channel, I mean, some of these people don't even have usernames. Does it track them by username, or
they have every Telegram user has an account ID. So even if they don't have any public tag or phone number, that doesn't matter. They still have the unique ID. So of course, in theory, you can delete your account and create a new one, but I don't think real people do that. Yeah,
are you telling me not a real person? I've created multiple accounts, and that's great though. I mean, I think it just speaks to your, your intelligence, your ability, and interaction with the program to know you can drill down to that level. So thanks. I think that's
of course we can try to track if there will be any kind of abuse, but I suspect that it's not likely. So it's easier.
I mean,
it's easier to get if you really like it and if you really like it and you want to use it, it's easier, I believe, to buy some AlphaKEK instead of deleting your account over and over again.
Yeah, I got you. That's great.
Yeah, I mean, that brings up a bigger discussion, which is like, how do you increase like the virality of AI KEK? Like, how do you share it organically across different groups? So you mentioned one method, which is like, I guess sharing the bot, but also sharing the output of the bot, the text output. If you're going into a group that's like relatively well known that there's data out there, you can ask a question, in the bot in our group chat, then forward that message in there, because they all want to hear about their own project. And even if it's like not that, if it's not as actionable for them because maybe there's not enough data or something out there, if it's like a small meme coin, it's still interesting, right? They still like to hear about it. And I consider that like a softer, sort of promotion. I guess what you're doing is you're adding the bot directly in there, right? That's I would say a bit more of a tougher pitch. I would go with like generating content, and that's sort of like your meme. It's like the AlphaKEK version of a meme. It's the text output, it's the research, token audit, sentiment analysis. That's more of a visual. You could forward that into different chats. And then, yeah, you've also been doing like image generation, which I noticed as well, like maybe like throwing up like retro filters on some of their favorite like images, and you forward that into their group chat, especially if it has like the watermark still on it. So that's a nice way to get, quote unquote credit for that. I think it'll be much easier when we get the alpha alerts out, because then you could just start forwarding alerts about those particular tokens, right, into their chats and say, hey, look, we just called your token, right? I consider an alpha alert as a democratized version of a call, like a caller or a KOL. It's the same thing, but it's just using technology and AI to make a call, right? So we're actually making calls at scale, and you can forward those calls into other groups. So once these alerts are out, I think it'll be much easier to share them, especially if they're like winners, right? Like obviously not every single call is going to be a winner. I don't know what the success rate of most of these major alpha alerts are. Hopefully our success rate is higher, but there will be successes, and we'll be able to share those with other people and say, hey, look, AlphaKEK, meme coin alert bot called this at 100K market cap, and now it's at 10 mil, right? And that should go viral pretty easily. Yeah. So yeah, thanks for the question, RC. And anybody else? Cool. Well, hopefully the recording worked. First time doing that. I'm not sure where the file goes, so we'll publish this and we'll get a transcript together.
Hello, can you hear me?
All right, guys. Yeah, thanks so much for attending on this chill Spaces on a Friday. It's actually nighttime for me, so I'm gonna go to bed soon. Yeah, have a great weekend, guys. Talk to you soon.
Can you hear Johnny? You didn't hear him?
Oh, can you hear?
I can hear you.
I can hear you. Okay, so Johnny wants to join, but yes, seems like we have some weird like network issues today. Maybe we could try to rejoin really quickly. Johnny, can you please like wait just for a moment? Because like maybe it's like because of UDP. Yeah, because I can hear Johnny, but Vinny can't. Maybe. Okay, maybe Johnny, you could say your question. And I will repeat it to Vinny out loud. Okay, seems like Vinny has disconnected. Can you hear me? Hey.
Yeah, right.
Okay, Johnny, go ahead. What did you want to ask? I hope. Okay. So we almost have artificial general intelligence, but we still haven't fully solved the video chats. That's the world we live in. So Johnny, can you hear me? You can ask the question right away. So I'm all yours. Maybe Johnny has.
Yeah,
some...
can you hear me now? Can you hear me now?
Yeah.
Okay, perfect. Yes. So hello, Vlad, Vinny, AI KEK holders and prospective AI KEK holders. Very excited what you're building here. Just a quick question with regards to the website. Are you aiming for this quarter, end of June or September, with a new website design. We're just thinking because it'll really assist me with marketing. So just a quick question with regards to that.
I think we should ask Vinny about this. So generally, we'll try to, of course, make it as soon as possible. And I think it will be like a continuous process. So we'll try to basically like the push big one update like as early as possible and then gradually upgrade it. Because Vinny haven't like touched this in like a lot of details, like when he mentioned like those design studios, but we have agreed that we will have like a long-term partnership with them. So it won't be the case when they just like create a new design for us and that's it. Because like we know that we have like a long roadmap, we'll have like more features, we'll have more stuff to showcase on our website, we'll like have our B2B section updated, etc., etc. So we know for sure that we will need them like for a long time. So we'll do like some initial update first, and then we'll be like introducing smaller updates, etc., etc. So I'm not sure like about when exactly it happens. So hopefully it's as soon as possible. It would be really nice if it will happen, this quarter, and we'll see it. But yeah, so hopefully it will happen this quarter, but surely we'll be seeing some new updates to it next quarter as well.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Vlad. Appreciate it.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, thank you. Thank you. If that's it, I think we can conclude and save Vinny from all those network issues, but like terminating the video chat, it will be like a silly thing to do. Imagine if I would like finish it and he'll think that he can't connect now. But such is life. Let's do a little bit of tomfoolery in the end. Thank you all for like coming. Thank you for visiting. The next like community AMA will happen like next Friday on Twitter. We'll be moving back and forth like Twitter, Telegram every Friday, I think. Maybe there'll be some exceptions, but that's the general rule that we want to establish, to basically like have a sync with you all on both like platforms. So thank you everyone, and see you at the next AMA.